Welcome to my season review so far of Blackburn Rovers from their early games. So we're looking up to the international break in terms of what's happened in terms of matches, what happens in news, the transfers, the transfer deadline day, everything that happened with Blackburn. So let's get into it from the start of the season. So we are kicking off with the Blackburn Rovers kits for the 2024-25 season. This year, the club marked their 30-year anniversary of the 1994-95 Premier League title winning campaign. That was called the Premiership back then, and their kits have been released in tribute to that. So the home shirt follows the white and blue half traditional style that you usually get with a Blackburn shirt. The collar's got the similarities to the 94-95 home shirt, including that red lip where the buttons are. Macron again are the sponsor of this one, and the shirt does include a rose embossed into the blue part of the shirt. Some subtle touches to the 94-95 season. Over on Football Archive, it was given a 4.2 out of 5 from 200 odd votes from Blackburn fans, suggesting that it is a hit. Now, the away shirt also followed suit with the anniversary as they produced a black with red pinstripe design which matched the season away kit from 94-95. The version also included a crown pattern, which was a nod to that famous sponsor as well. And they're mainly in white, the sponsors, as the kit is completed with red shorts and black socks. Now, the third shirt and the away shirt both seem to be liked quite well by Blackburn fans on the rankings. This one, Rovers went with the tagline, "Be bold, be brave, beat Blackburn," apparently inspired by the town and the people. The vibrant pink kit comes with silver accents and depicts a map of Blackburn, seeing Ewood Park close to the heart of the shirt. So the shirts were set, but what about the football? The EFL Championship kicked off and Blackburn were amongst the teams who played on the opening Friday. There was 5 goals in the second half under the lights at Ewood Park, which saw Blackburn defeat Derby 4-2 on opening night. Now, with the lineups, Blackburn lined up with their new striker Maktar Gay leading the line, as Sammy Smodic, heavily linked away with a move from Ewood Park, was named amongst the substitutes. While Derby handed a debut to midfielder David Ozo, with the commentators calling him the Ozo Layer, but it wasn't enough as Blackburn worked their way through. The first half was a fairly close affair, I thought, in this one, although in truth Derby never really threatened too much. Blackburn started on the front foot and pressed in front of the home crowd. There was a bit of a period of composure for Derby, but it was Rovers who broke the deadlock. Lewis Travers bursted through the midfield to create space, slid the ball wide from across the ball box, and saw Tyrese Dolan pounce to open his goal-scoring campaign for the season. In the second half, the newly promoted Rams managed to push Blackburn back and almost scored direct from a Nathaniel Mendes-Lang corner before a smart reaction from goalkeeper Ainsley Pears stopped it going over the line. Last season, Derby was successful from set pieces and they struck their first in the Championship as a corner routine saw Curtis Nelson thunder a header home in the 67th minute. The goal had come just after a triple substitution from John Eustace for Blackburn, bringing on Smodic alongside 2 new signings in Andreas Weimann and Japanese forward Yuki Ohashi. It was a masterstroke in the end as Blackburn really turned the tide, with all 3 getting their names on the scoresheet. Just 3 minutes after Derby's equaliser, Owen Cashin gave the ball away midway inside the Derby half before Travers spotted centre-back Hayden Carter down the right, who with a sensational Cruyff-style turn put 2 Derby defenders on their backside before a lovely left-footed cross straight to the unmarked Ryman on that back post. Then, with all the speculation over Smodic, weren't sure if they'd ever see him score at Ewood Park again for Blackburn, but he did. He gave the home fans another chance to celebrate him as his smart movement in the box allowed Callum Britton to find him with a pullback and he slotted home. Before Smodic himself turned provider for Ohashi to lift the ball over Josh Vickers in a one-on-one situation, giving Blackburn 3 goals in 12 minutes. Derby managed to add a consolation towards the end from another corner to give themselves a positive to take back home on day 1 with a Kane Wilson header. But in truth, they collapsed a bit in that second half. They were caught pressing and chased and picked off by Blackburn, who were good in transition. John Eustace said in his after-match comments on this one, "We had 7 weeks of work in pre-season and there's been some good things and some bad things we had to put right. It's only the start. There's so much hard work to go, but it was pleasing to see that performance today." Next up was the EFL Cup and Blackburn blew away League One opposition Stockport County in the first round. They scored 6 against a much-changed Stockport side, which also had a lot of injuries, following on from the confidence for Blackburn from their opening Championship game. Smodic was named in the starting 11, having came off the bench at the weekend amidst his transfer speculation continuing, whilst new signing Yuki Ohashi, who also found the net against Derby, he started up front. Andy Weimann and Arne Sigurdsson are also made starts, while Danny Bath came into the defence. It was Szmodic who struck first. He found the top corner to give Blackburn the lead, before new signing Vyman slotted home at the second. Szmodic was on hand again, volleying in from a third from a Harry Pickering scooped pass, all in the opening 25 minutes. Ahashi was then on hand to head home from a short corner routine to make it 4-0, and both managers rang the changes in the second half. Defender Mapengu had a memorable moment on his debut, prodding home at the far post from a Jaden Fevrier's corner, but that was all Stockport got as Rovers were not finished. Stockport goalkeeper Ben Hinchliffe made a string of saves and Al-Hashi lashed a shot against the post, but Gay, who signed from Dutch side Molenbeek in the window, headed home his first for the club from a corner, and then Vale finished expertly from a tight angle to round off a big win. The draw then confirmed a home second round for Blackburn as they would take on another League One opposition in Blackpool. Now, all summer, the reports linking Sammy Szmodic away from Ewood Park were there, and it became an inevitability that last season's Championship top goal scorer would make a move to the Premier League. In truth, Rovers fans were probably surprised they got a League and Cup goals out of him before the move to Ipswich was secured. So Ipswich Town completed his signing for an initial fee of £9 million plus add-ons being reported. He's 28 and he signed a 4-year deal running till 2028. His moves also started with promise there. He scored against Manchester City of all teams in his first start, while Szmodic and Ipswich will be hoping that will be the first of many in the Premier League. Now, Szmodic, of course, for Blackburn, enjoyed the most prolific season of his career last season, scoring 33 goals in all for Rovers across all competitions. He'd featured in Blackburn's opening 2 matches of this campaign and scored 3 goals, obviously, but knew that it was going to be moving on. He joined Blackburn originally from Peterborough United in 2022, having progressed through Colchester United's academy and also having a spell at Bristol City. He said, "There's always been interest since I was a kid, but it just felt this time was right with the challenge of the Premier League," said Szmodic. It's no doubt a loss for Blackburn, though, an expected one after his excellent season last year. But at 28, probably a good time for both player and club to take advantage of the move. But Blackburn will certainly need to find a redistribution of his goals throughout the team. Yuki Ohashi scored his third in 3 games as his late goal denied the Norwich City comeback against Blackburn in a 2-2 draw at Carrow Road. Blackburn went for an unchanged team from their opening night victory, where Norwich, on the other hand, made 3 changes as Ben Chazane, Forson Amankwa and Gabriel Forsyth all came into the team. It was Blackburn, though, who opened the scoring, as goals have been free-flowing for Rovers in the opening matches of the season. New signing Maktar Gay found Ryan Hedges on the left, and he provided a smart finish, dinking it over goalkeeper Angus Gunn to give the visitors the lead. Goalkeeper Ainsley Pears was then called into action. He made a flying save from Gabriel Forsyth and again denied Sargent. But Pears almost undid all of his own work. He played a really poor pass in his own box, gifted it to Boyer Sights. He laid across to Sargent, but it was only denied by a brilliant saving block from Sondre Tronstad. In the second half, Josh Sargent did finally get his goal, however, an emphatic finish after he was freed down the left by Callum Doyle. He found the top corner with power and accuracy to bring the Canaries level. Norwich had then turned the game in 8 minutes when Sargent this time turned provider. He squared across to Sainz and he touched in at the far post to give Norwich a 2-1 lead. Blackburn, however, found that important response when Callum Britton found space on the right wing and swung in across to find Ahashi darting in and heading in to continue the Japanese forward's good start to the season. He became the first Rovers player in 70 years to score in his first 3 appearances for the club. It also extended Ahashi's personal goal-scoring record to 6 in a row, as he also hit the back of the net in his last 3 appearances for Sanfrecce Hiroshima before his move to Ewood Park. John Eustace commented after the game he was disappointed not to come away with more, while Norwich boss Thorpe felt that they should have killed the game. Now, I wanted to highlight a positive initiative I found doing a bit of research on Blackburn early this season. They put out an announcement in regards to autism amongst their supporters. A total of 10 sets of junior ear defenders will be made available each match day. These have been part funded from past events from disabled supporters, matched by a donation from a member of the Part of the Crowd consultation group. Now, the National Autistic Society estimate that over 700,000 adults and children in the UK are autistic, with around 43% of those choosing not to engage in sport because of their sensory difficulties. So to assist those fans with autism, Blackburn Rovers have arranged several solutions to help with sensory overload, with the latest initiative being the introduction of ear defenders and sensory packs for junior supporters. They commented that the provision of ear defenders is another important step to helping us ensure that anyone who attends a football match at Ewood Park feels welcome, safe and secure. The ear defender has been made available for both home and away junior supporters to borrow on match days at Ewood Park and will be a valued addition for those fans who find the atmosphere inside the stadium challenging. The club also introduced sensory packs free of charge and tailored to children, which included a drawstring bag, fidget spinner, squidgy ball, stretchy noodle, popper toy, and autism awareness card and lanyard to limited numbers. These as well are designed to enable supporters with autism to experience a more accessible, comfortable, and enjoyable environment to watch football. There was a club statement as well in August, as Blackburn Rovers ownership has never been too far away from the headlines of the club. The club ownership group made comment to address the ongoing legal and technical issues that they are currently facing in India. They stated that the ownership group are working as hard as they can with the judicial process to get a resolution as soon as possible. However, we have full and unequivocal assurance that these issues will not impact on the operational aspects of the club and will not prohibit or prevent the owners from financially supporting the club in whatever way on and off the pitch, as and when required, now and in the future. So make of that what you will, but they did also touch upon in their statement that they described the start of the season as extremely encouraging, praising the early results on the pitch, new commercial partnerships and replica shirt sales. They talked about the new staff structure, identifying key areas and improvement from senior players to academy. Back to the Championship, and Blackburn made it 2 wins out of 2 at Ewood Park in the Championship as Arne Sigurdsson hit the winner against Oxford United. Ahashi was brought in to make his first league start for Rovers in the only change made by John Eustace for the visit of Oxford. The Japanese forward had scored in each of his 3 games of the campaign, and he came in for Maktar Gay, who dropped to the bench. Hayden Carter, who limped off against Norwich City a week ago, was fit to start alongside Dom Hyam in defence. Early on in the game, Rovers lacked a bit of rhythm. They'd seen them score 12 goals early on in their opening 3 matches of the season. And it really was Oxford on top. They should have opened the scoring with Idris El Mazouni after a pinpoint Phillips cross, but he mistimed the header with the goal at his mercy. Soon after that, though, the highlight of the match came from Harris. Oh, an absolute brilliant long-range strike from him. He'd been on fire so far for Oxford. A long ball from their goalkeeper, Jamie Cullum, and a flick on from Phillips, and he absolutely hit the half volley over the goalkeeper. Oxford lead lasted only 3 minutes though, however, and ranking Costello's accurate turn and strike past Cumming was not in keeping for a player who had failed to score in his last 17 appearances for Rovers. The host then turned the screw in the second half, and Japanese forward Yuki Ahashi was inches away from putting Blackburn in front, but he failed to make contact with an inviting cross into the box. It was the tale of the substitutes in the end for John Eustace's side, as Icelandic winger Sigurdsson combined with fellow sub Maktar Gay to find the bottom corner in the final stages to secure a hard-fought 3 points for Blackburn Rovers. Match winner Sigurdsson did do an interview after the match. He said it was unbelievable, he said, when he was talking to Rovers TV. The 25-year-old winger said, "I wanted to come on and make an impact. It's what I did, and it was another really important 3 points for us to continue our good start." He said, "You always get a feeling when you hit the ball perfectly or a surprise." He let me go on my right. Once it hit the post, I was a bit nervous, but it was unbelievable to see it go in. So after a tough injury at the end of last season, it really meant a lot to him to come back and score the winner, especially in front of the Blackburn end. Additional to celebrating his winner, he was then called up for a Nations League doubleheader for his country. Back to the transfer market, and Blackburn moved to bring in Liverpool youth player Owen Beck, a forward-thinking left-back on a season-long loan. He has played for the Welsh under-21 international side, and he's had previous loan deals with Dundee and Bolton Wanderers. Beck, much like teammate Ryan Hedges, he first came through at Flint Town United and was Flintshire Footballer of the Year at the age of 10 before linking up with Liverpool after spells at Tranmere Rovers and Stoke City. The left-back then made his debut for the Liverpool first team in October 2021 as a late substitute in the Carabao Cup win over Preston North End, where he played alongside ex-Rover Tyler Morton. He also made his Premier League debut for Liverpool last season. He came on in their 4-0 victory away to Bournemouth in January. Now, his first senior goal arrived in November 2023 when he was in Scotland in what turns out to be a late consolation for Dundee in a 2-1 defeat at home to Hibernian. He then scored a goal again from the net in the 3-3 draw against Motherwell, and it shows that he can score goals and he is forward-thinking. It was a successful loan deal for Beck. He impressed greatly during his 25 league outings at Dundee, and he earned a place in the PFA Scotland Team of the Year, and they finished 6th in the table. Now, an interesting fact, Beck is actually the great nephew of the legendary ex-Liverpool striker Ian Rush, as his sister Carol is Beck's grandmother. So there you go. His initial performances have Rovers fans excited for what the rest of the season holds. In the second round of the EFL Cup, it was League One opposition that brought the end of Blackburn's cup run. As Lancashire neighbours, Blackpool orchestrated a second half turnaround at Ewood Park. John Eustace made 7 changes to his side. Ainsley Pears, Hayden Carter, Harry Pickering and Joe Rankin Costello were the only survivors from the team that started the win against Oxford United at the weekend. Leo Duru made his full debut for the club after he impressed off the bench in the last round against Stockport County, whilst Arne Sigurdsson, he was rewarded for his match-winning goal at the weekend coming into the team. New signing Danny Barth also made his first appearance at Ewood Park as a Rover. Blackpool had endured a torrid start to their 24-25 campaign. They'd lost their first 2 League One matches and it cost manager Neil Critchley his job. They subsequently then let a 4-1 lead against Cambridge slip at the weekend, but the cup was providing them with a respite and their second half display earned them a spot in the third round. Blackburn had taken the lead midway through the first half thanks to Maktar Gay scoring his second successive goal in EFL Cup rounds. He scored a penalty after Arne Sigurdsson was fouled in the box. But Blackpool, they grew into the game with Rob Apter and Elliot Embleton both firing wide and Oliver Norburn hitting the crossbar in the second half. Now, not long after Blackburn had made 5 substitutions all at once, it was the visitors who then found an equaliser. Apter's cutback was tapped in by Beasley on 72 minutes. That was his first goal of the season. And 5 minutes later, the turnaround was complete when Coulson robbed Joe Rankin Costello of possession before slotting in at the near post. Blackpool were drawn then against Sheffield Wednesday in the next round at Bloomfield Road, while Rovers were left to finalise their transfer window and focus on maintaining their championship form. So, transfer deadline day and Blackburn were very busy indeed. 2 permanent deals, 2 loan incomings signed before the window closed. The big name was Todd Cantwell, who has plenty of championship experiences, 3 promotions during his time with Norwich City. Cantwell joined from north of the border after he'd had a season and a half with Rangers, where the midfielder scored 14 times in 64 appearances for the blue side of Glasgow. Cantwell signs on a 3-year deal. He's 26 years old, still with plenty to offer. Things had turned sour for him towards the end of his time at Rangers. He confirmed to manager Philip Clement that he no longer wanted to be at the club. There was quite a few off-field issues, over the course of his time. He was dubbed TikTok Todd. Issues with social media back and forth with fans, so he'll be wanting to start afresh at Blackburn. Now, though, after signing for John Eustace's club, Cantwell has promised he's going to get on with business and let his game do the talking on the pitch. Blackburn also moved to secure a goalkeeper in Balázs Toth. He's a current Hungarian international. Despite not making a cap for them, he's part of their country's Nation League squad for the upcoming international break. 26, he's played his whole career in the Hungarian league and he joins from Ferhava FC, who were once known as Videoton to those who know European football. Young Brighton winger Amaria Kozia-Dubry has joined on a season-long loan as an interesting addition. At 19, he's excelled at a number of youth levels, which included at Arsenal last season, where he scored 11 goals for their under-21s in the Premier League 2, with 19 appearances. It prompted Brighton to sign him on a 4-year deal, and they've loaned him straight out for first-team football experience and opportunity. Kozia-Dubry becomes the latest loanee to join from the Amex Stadium. Of course, Jan-Paul van Heck was at Blackburn, Reddy Kadra, Andy Moran and Yassin Ayari, just to name a few. John Eustace managed to bring in one more loan signing before the end of deadline day. Former Chelsea youngster Lewis Baker, making 21 appearances for Stoke City last season across all competitions, scoring 3 goals. He made the comment on joining the club. He said, "Every time I've come to Blackburn, it's been a difficult place to play, and I know how it can be when it's rocking here." So new additions into the Blackburn side. A special strike from Andreas Weimann saw honours even in the East Lancashire derby as Burnley drew 1-1 with Blackburn at Turf Moor. Owen Beck made his Rovers debut as John Eustace made 3 changes from the team that beat Oxford the previous weekend. Beck was in for Harry Pickering, who suffered an injury in the midweek cup match. Elsewhere, Maktar Gay stepped up and started in front of Yuki Ahashi up front, who dropped to the bench, whilst Andy Wyman started and replaced Joe Rankin Costello. For Burnley, Scott Parker named a team with 5 changes, which included the loss of Vitinho, who had moved back to Botafogo in Brazil on deadline day. The home side went ahead in the 10th minute after a smart backheel from Josh Brownhill down the left-hand side. It freed the overlapping Jadon Anthony. He was making his debut for Burnley on his loan after his loan move from Bournemouth. He held off the defender for an excellent left-footed cross to Lyle Taylor, who found himself with space on the penalty spot to nod home for Burnley. But Blackburn's response was absolutely stunning. Burnley were kind of on top. They'd seen a Koleosho deflected shot saved well by Ainsley Pears, and then Blackburn were back on level terms as the goalkeeper launched the ball upfield. Gay nodded down into space, and Wyman absolutely cracked and sweetly struck a fantastic volley, 30 yards out, flying over James Trafford, an absolutely stunning equaliser. Blackburn then thought they were ahead 5 minutes later when Tyrese Dolan's goal was disallowed for an offside in the build-up, which was heavily contested. I think it was a really difficult one. And then further later on in the game, Gay, he got a silly second booking in the second half, which made Blackburn's efforts really hard. He was already on a booking and he gestured for his opponent to receive the same fate, but he sealed his own with the second yellow and therefore a red card. With 33 minutes against 10 minutes, 74% possession, Burnley might be frustrated by a single point, but Blackburn did well in the end, I think, for the draw. It was Blackburn who almost nicked 3 points as well at the death, as Lewis Travers got his shot all wrong close into goal in stoppage time. It was a game of many cards dished out by referee Tony Harrington as the game finished level. The point means that Rovers remain unbeaten in 5th in the Championship table, while Burnley sit in 6th place. With the international break coming, it's a week off for both teams, but on their return to the Championship, Burnley will travel to Ellen Road for an intriguing clash with Leeds United, while Blackburn host Bristol City, who have 1 win, 2 draws and 1 loss after their first 4 games. So, with the transfer window shut, Blackburn Rovers had their squad set for the Championship season. So overall, they made 8 permanent additions over the transfer window, with Gay, Vyman and Ahashi already on the score sheet, of course, in their early games. Danny Bath has been mainly restricted to cup minutes so far, and we await the debut of Todd Cantwell after the international break. 3 loan deals as well for Owen Beck and Mario Cozier-Dubry and Lewis Baker were also secured, as Rovers are now set until January. Looking at the stats, Blackburn's attacking stats were strong at the start of the Championship season, as their 9 league goals at 2.25 per 90 is 3rd in the division, only 1 behind Burnley and Sunderland. While their shot total was kind of in the middle of the table, they've been very clinical in getting their shots on target and profiting from their strongly created attacking chances. A very strong early attacking statistic set. Defensively, they're kind of fair as well. The limited amount of saves made by Ainsley Pears so far, although he is down on his save percentage compared to other goalkeepers in the league. The defence has been decent and working. As long as the attack can keep up this form and threat, it should offset the defence, but it's early days. Elsewhere, it's clear possession isn't the priority, and working so far for John Eustace this season in transition. They're often in the fouls column boxes for both for and against, and of course included that one silly red card from Actor Gay at the weekend. Now, SofaScore.com gave ratings to player performances, and so far it's skewed a bit because Smodic is at the top, but he had limited minutes before he left. The key performers have been Ryan Hedges, Yuki Ahashi. They've been rewarded, as well as consistent midfield performances from Lewis Travers, Arne Sigurdsson and Tyrese Dolan. The goalkeeper is questioned as well with his performances as well in terms of his rating, as well as the stats and save percentages, so one to keep an eye on Pears in the next few weeks. So Blackburn sit unbeaten in the table in 5th, in a much better start than a lot of people were predicting at the start of the season. It does come with caution, however. Of course, last season Blackburn were only just 1 point worse off at this stage, and of course the season turned on them rather nastily. But 9 goals will be encouraging, and a table position that Rovers fans will be more than happy to keep looking at during that international break. And there comes the end of my Blackburn Rovers season review so far. Please support the channel. It would really mean a lot to me with liking and subscribing. Looking to try and do more of these videos as I try to kind of work out what kind of content I'm going to continue to do with EFL. But if you like EFL football, if that's your thing, then I also know of a podcast for you. If EFL football is your thing, and indeed National League football, check out the Absolute Football podcast, Monday, Wednesdays and Thursdays. On Thursday, it is our absolutely lower league show covering EFL and National League. Check the YouTube channel out now with EFL and National League previews. That's the Absolute Football podcast.